The Rodriguez family reunions were always a carefully choreographed dance of love, tension, and unspoken histories. As I stood in the crowded backyard of my parents' modest home in East Los Angeles, I couldn't help but marvel at how we managed to maintain this delicate illusion of unity year after year. I was Maya Rodriguez, 28, the family's supposed success story. A senior marketing executive at a prestigious digital agency, I'd clawed my way up from the same streets that had kept my parents struggling for decades. My tailored blazer and designer watch were silent testaments to the distance I'd traveled, both literally and metaphorically, from my working-class roots. Tios, primas, and abuelos moved around me, their laughter punctuated by the sizzle of carne asada and the rhythmic beats of salsa music. My younger siblings chased cousins between tables laden with traditional dishes, pozole, tamales, arroz con pollo, each plate a map of our family's resilience. But beneath the surface, I knew the truth. Every smile was a negotiation, every embrace a potential transaction. Growing up, money had always been a ghost, haunting our conversations, sometimes whispered, sometimes screamed, but always present. My success wasn't just a personal achievement, it was a lifeline my family had been waiting for. Each promotion, each bonus, each milestone was met with a mix of pride and expectation. Mija, my mother would say, her eyes both loving and calculating, family takes care of family. I'd worked relentlessly to break the cycle of financial instability that had defined my parents' lives. Scholarships had paid for my education. Internships became opportunities. Networking transformed potential into reality. Where my parents had struggled with odd jobs and constant uncertainty, I'd built a fortress of financial security, or so I thought. As my father raised a toast, his gold watch glinting, a recent purchase that seemed slightly out of character, I caught a look between him and my uncle. Something flickered in their exchange, a subtle nod, a barely perceptible smirk. I should have known then, but family gatherings have a way of lulling you into a false sense of security. The warmth, the music, the shared memories, they create a protective bubble where suspicion seems impossible. Little did I know that bubble was about to burst, and the sound would be more devastating than any mariachi trumpet. My phone buzzed. A banking notification. The first tremor before the earthquake. My fingers trembled as I opened the banking app. The screen blurred, then came into sharp, brutal focus. Zero. Absolutely zero. $57,000. My entire savings. Gone. Vanished. I stepped away from the family gathering, my ears ringing. The music continued, oblivious to the silent implosion happening just meters away. Mechanically, I dialed my bank's customer service, my professional demeanor a thin veneer over rising panic. All transactions were authorized, the representative explained coldly. Multiple withdrawals over the past week, validated through your primary account credentials. My mind raced. Two-factor authentication, secure passwords. How? When I returned to the gathering, my father was cleaning the grill, his movements deliberate and calm. I waited until we were alone, away from the familiar chorus of family chatter. Did you take my money? The question hung between us, stark and unadorned. He didn't even flinch, just snorted. We needed it. Those 3 words shattered everything. We? I demanded. Who's we? My father's story spilled out like a rehearsed confession. The family's auto repair shop was failing. My uncle's medical bills were mounting. My younger brother's college tuition seemed impossible. And my success? That was family capital, as far as he was concerned. In our culture, he said, his voice a mixture of defiance and wounded pride, family shares everything. But this wasn't sharing, this was theft. I learned the full extent of the betrayal in fragments. My bank account password, obtained through my mother, who knew my childhood pet's name. The security questions, manipulated by my uncle, who worked part-time at a local bank. They had planned this meticulously. During family dinners, while sharing meals, while I believed we were building trust. My siblings knew, not all of them, but enough. My younger brother wouldn't meet my eyes. My sister's guilt was a tangible thing, hanging between us like a heavy curtain. "How could you?" I whispered, more to myself than to my father. He looked at me then, not with shame, but with a profound sense of justification. "A daughter's success belongs to her family," he said. "Always." In that moment, I understood this was more than a financial violation. This was a calculated dismantling of my autonomy, my boundaries, my very sense of self. They hadn't just stolen money, they had stolen my trust, my sense of safety. The family reunion continued outside, laughter echoing. But here, in this moment, everything had changed. The next week was a blur of controlled chaos. By day, I was the consummate marketing professional, my exterior polished and uncracked. By night, I became a forensic accountant of my own life. I started with my immediate family. My sister Maria was the first to crack. Over a late-night video call, her voice trembled with a mixture of guilt and defensiveness. "They told me it was for your nephew's medical treatment," she confessed. "I didn't know the full extent." Lies. My nephew was perfectly healthy. My younger brother Miguel was more direct. "We've always shared everything," he said, echoing my father's warped philosophy of familial ownership. But his eyes betrayed him. A mix of shame and something else. Fear, perhaps. I began documenting everything. Bank statements, text messages, email trails. Each piece of evidence was a puzzle piece, revealing a more extensive pattern of financial manipulation. This wasn't a one-time theft. It was a systemic family strategy. My professional network became my silent army. A forensic accountant friend, Elena, helped me trace the money's path. Another contact in digital security assisted me in understanding how they'd accessed my accounts. Each revelation was another knife twist. The money hadn't just disappeared, it had been strategically distributed. The auto repair shop received a significant injection. My uncle's medical bills were paid. My brother's college tuition was settled. My parents cleared old debts. They had treated my entire savings like a family emergency fund. Cultural expectations warred with personal violation. In our Latino community, family interdependence was sacred. But this was beyond sharing. This was calculated theft. I discovered more. This wasn't the first time. Conversations with cousins revealed similar stories. Money borrowed without consent. Savings drained under the guise of family necessity. A pattern of financial predation masked as familial love. My professional persona began to crack. I missed meetings. My work suffered. My boss, typically demanding, noticed the change. "Everything okay, Maya?" he'd ask. I'd smile, nod, "Lieutenant." But beneath the surface, a storm was brewing. Each revelation fueled something deep within me. Not just anger, but a cold, calculated determination. They thought they knew me. They thought they could manipulate me. They were wrong. I wasn't the little girl who accepted whatever crumbs of opportunity were thrown her way. I was a professional, a strategist, and I was about to show them exactly what that meant. The investigation was just the beginning. Revenge would be my masterpiece. Revenge is an art form. And I was about to become its most meticulous artist. My mentor, David Rodriguez, no relation, a legendary crisis management consultant, became my confidential strategist. We met in a discreet downtown coffee shop, away from prying eyes and potential family informants. "This isn't just about money," David warned, studying the comprehensive dossier I'd assembled. "This is about systemic family dysfunction." I knew that. My plan would cut deeper than any financial restitution. I wanted to dismantle their entire ecosystem of manipulation. My first move was gathering intelligence. Years of marketing strategy had taught me that information was the most potent weapon. I mapped out every family member's vulnerabilities, professional connections, and potential pressure points. My father ran a struggling auto repair shop, his pride and economic lifeline. My uncle worked part-time at a local bank, with connections that had facilitated the initial theft. My brother was midway through college, dependent on family networks. My sister managed a small real estate agency. Each would become a strategic target. I began by quietly reaching out to my father's business contacts. Subtle inquiries about his repair shop's practices, whispers about potential code, violations. Professional reputation is a fragile construct, and I knew exactly how to apply pressure. My uncle's bank connections became my next focus. Anonymous tips about potential financial irregularities. Nothing overtly criminal, but enough to trigger internal investigations. The kind of scrutiny that makes professional life unbearable. For my brother, I identified scholarship opportunities that would make him financially independent. Cutting the economic umbilical cord would be my most surgical strike. My sister's real estate agency was the most delicate target. A few strategically placed complaints, some carefully crafted online reviews, potential licensing investigation hints, nothing definitively destructive, but enough to create constant uncertainty. "You're playing a long game," David observed, both impressed and slightly unnerved. "This isn't revenge. This is strategic deconstruction." I smiled, coldly. Each move was calculated, each action meticulously planned. I wasn't seeking immediate destruction. I wanted a slow, systematic dismantling of their sense of security. Technology became my primary weapon. My marketing background meant I understood digital landscapes better than anyone in my family. Social media algorithms, professional networking platforms, online reputation management. I would weaponize every digital tool at my disposal. "Remember," David cautioned, "true revenge isn't about destruction. It's about transformation." Transformation. I liked that word. My family had always seen me as a resource to be exploited. They believed my success was a communal asset, something to be carved up and distributed at their discretion. Now, I would show them the true meaning of individual power. The chess pieces were set. My first moves were about to begin. The first domino fell during a seemingly ordinary Tuesday. My father's auto repair shop had always operated in a gray area of regulatory compliance. I knew every minor infraction, every potential violation. With surgical precision, I began making anonymous reports to local business regulatory boards. A health inspector's surprise visit revealed outdated safety protocols, minor infractions, individually inconsequential, but collectively damaging. Each report was crafted to appear legitimate, each complaint rooted in verifiable observations. I used my marketing research skills to make the documentation impeccable, professional, detailed, untraceable. My uncle's bank connections proved more complex. I discovered he'd been facilitating informal loans within the Latino business community, transactions that skirted legal boundaries. Using my network of professional contacts, I initiated a quiet investigation. An old college friend now worked in financial compliance, and a few strategically placed questions began to create ripples. The beauty of my plan was its subtlety. I wasn't seeking immediate destruction. I wanted a slow, systematic erosion of their perceived stability. Brother's trajectory became my most intricate manipulation. I identified a prestigious scholarship program perfect for his academic profile. But instead of directly helping him, I created obstacles for his current financial support. Subtle pressures that would force him to become independently motivated. Each move was calculated, each action precisely timed. Social media became my most potent weapon. I understood digital reputation management better than anyone in my family. Carefully crafted online reviews, subtle LinkedIn recommendations that questioned professional credibility. Nothing overtly aggressive, just enough to create doubt. For my sister's real estate agency, I initiated a complex strategy. Anonymous client complaints, subtle challenges to her licensing credentials. Each action designed to create professional instability without triggering immediate legal recourse. The family's communication networks began to fracture. Whispered conversations, suspicious glances. The weight of unspoken accusations hung in every interaction. My mentor David watched with a mixture of admiration and concern. "You're dismantling their entire ecosystem," he observed during one of our clandestine meetings. "No," I corrected him. "I'm revealing the ecosystem they've hidden." Technology became my primary instrument of precision. I leveraged every digital skill from my marketing career: SEO manipulation, online reputation management, strategic information dissemination. Each platform became a potential weapon. The most brilliant aspect of my plan was its invisibility. From the outside, nothing seemed directly connected. Each challenge appeared independent, unrelated. But I was weaving a complex web, pulling invisible strings. My father's reputation in the local business community began to erode. Potential clients became hesitant. Long-standing relationships started showing microscopic fractures, not through dramatic confrontations, but through a slow, persistent delegitimization. My uncle's bank connections became increasingly scrutinized. Informal investigations, quiet questions, the kind of professional pressure that creates constant low-grade anxiety. My brother found himself at a crossroads, forced to choose between familial dependency and true independence. The scholarship I'd subtly influenced became his potential escape route. My sister's real estate agency began losing client trust, not through dramatic accusations, but through a persistent erosion of professional credibility. They had no idea I was the architect of their unraveling. Each family member was being systematically isolated, their support networks gradually dismantled, not through violence or dramatic confrontation, but through the most powerful weapon I possessed: strategic, calculated intelligence. The Rodriguez family was about to learn that revenge is a dish best served with professional precision. The family reunion was inevitable, a Rodriguez tradition that even my calculated dismantling couldn't prevent. They gathered in the same backyard where my world had first shattered. The tension was palpable, a living, breathing entity. My father looked older, diminished. My uncle avoided direct eye contact. My siblings moved like wounded animals, sensing something was fundamentally wrong. I arrived last, dressed in a power suit that screamed success and control. "We need to talk," I said, not a request, a declaration. The backyard fell silent. Generations of Rodriguez family dynamics compressed into this single moment. Tios shifted uncomfortably. Primas whispered. My mother's hand gripped her coffee cup so tightly I thought it might shatter. I produced a folder. Meticulously organized documentation of their financial manipulation, bank statements, communication trails, evidence of systematic theft. $57,000, I began. But it's not just about the money. My father attempted to interrupt. I raised one hand. Silence. "You thought family meant ownership," I continued. "You believed my success was a communal resource to be exploited. I'm here to demonstrate otherwise. One by one, I revealed the consequences of their actions. My father's auto repair shop, investigation pending, potential license revocation, my uncle's banking connections under internal review, suspicious transaction patterns flagged. My brother looked simultaneously terrified and relieved. My sister's real estate license, now under scrutiny. I could have destroyed you completely, I said. Instead, I've chosen to expose the systemic dysfunction that's defined our family for generations. Cultural expectations of familial loyalty collided with individual accountability. In our community, family was sacred, but so was personal dignity. My father's bravado crumbled, not from anger, but from a profound sense of being truly seen, stripped bare. How? He whispered. You taught me everything, I responded. Survival, strategy, the art of turning nothing into something. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. My mother wept silently, not from sadness, but from the recognition of a profound shift in power dynamics. Her daughter, no longer the child to be manipulated, had become the architect of their reckoning. My uncle tried to speak. I silenced him with a look that could freeze fire. This ends now, I declared. No more stealing, no more treating individual success as a family ATM. The backyard, once a symbol of familial warmth, now felt like a courtroom. I was prosecutor, judge, and witness. My father's final defense was a whispered, broken statement. We just wanted to survive. Survival, I responded coldly, doesn't justify theft, especially not from your own. In that moment, everything changed. The Rodriguez family hierarchy was rewritten, not through violence, not through hatred, but through the most powerful weapon I possessed, absolute, uncompromising truth. The reunion continued, but nothing would ever be the same again. Months passed. The Rodriguez family existed in a new, fragile ecosystem. My father's auto repair shop survived, but barely. The regulatory investigations had stripped away his professional veneer. Pride, once his most formidable armor, now hung in tatters. He took a job as a mechanic, working for a younger boss who didn't know his history. My uncle's banking connections dissolved. The quiet investigations revealed enough irregularities to end his informal lending network. He became a cautionary tale in the local Latino business community, a man who had pushed familial expectations too far. My brother emerged as the unexpected victor. The scholarship I'd strategically influenced became his lifeline. He transferred to a prestigious university, breaking the generational cycle of financial dependency. For the first time, he was truly his own person. My sister's real estate agency underwent a complete transformation. Stripped of her previous network, she rebuilt from scratch, this time with absolute transparency. The experience became her crucible of professional redemption. Family gatherings became rare, controlled, distant. When we did meet, conversations were measured, careful. The open wounds of betrayal weren't easily sutured. My mother was the most complex casualty. She oscillated between profound guilt and a strange sense of pride. Her daughter had become something she never expected, a woman who refused to be defined by familial expectations. I recovered my stolen funds, not through legal action, but through a series of professional achievements that far exceeded the money they had taken. Each promotion, each successful campaign became a silent statement of resilience. David, my mentor, watched my journey with a mixture of admiration and concern. Revenge is a powerful teacher, he told me during one of our final meetings. But it can be an unforgiving one. I understood the complexity of what I'd done. This wasn't just about money. This was about breaking a generational cycle of financial manipulation, about redefining family on my own terms. The Rodriguez family had always survived through a complex economy of sacrifice and shared struggle. I was rewriting that narrative. Individual success wasn't a communal resource to be exploited. It was a personal achievement to be respected. Cultural expectations warred with personal boundaries. In our community, family meant everything, but I had drawn a line, demonstrated that love shouldn't mean unlimited access to another's life. My professional life flourished. Each achievement became a silent testimony to my independence. Marketing campaigns, professional recognitions, leadership roles. I was building an empire they could never touch. Forgiveness wasn't part of my strategy. Understanding was. I didn't hate my family. I understood them, saw the generational traumas that had shaped their behavior, recognized the survival instincts that had twisted into manipulation. But understanding didn't mean acceptance. The Rodriguez family had tried to define me. Instead, I had redefined them. In the end, revenge wasn't about destruction. It was about transformation, about becoming the author of my own story.